Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending the press conference today. My name is Keith Brothers. I am the business manager of the Connecticut Labor's District Council and president of the Connecticut State Building Trades, proudly representing over 30,000 union construction workers in Connecticut. It's truly an honor to be joined today by Governor Ned Lamont, U.S. Senators Richard Blumenthal and Chris Murphy, DOT Commissioner Joe Gilletti, and the Mayor of Hartford, Luke Bronin. We are here this morning to praise and applaud the vision of President Joe Biden on a $1 trillion infrastructure bill that was passed in the U.S. Senate with an historic bipartisan vote, with the help of our two U.S. Senators, which we thank. Now we ask Speaker Nancy Pelosi in Congress to do the same and get this bill back to Joe Biden's desk for signature. What does this mean for Connecticut? This infrastructure bill means over $3.5 billion in federal highway investment for Connecticut that will create close to 1 million jobs over the next decade for the men and women I represent in the building trades. Repairing our failing infrastructure, a once-in-a-lifetime job creation opportunity for Connecticut and the United States. These jobs will have head of household prevailing wages attached with health and retirement benefits. This bill will also train the future generations of the building trades through our apprenticeship and training programs. Our first speaker is the Connecticut DOT Commissioner, Joe Gilletti.
Well, first, let me thank Keith. You know, you guys do things in a big way here, and I really appreciate the support that the industry has shown and the partnership that we have. This morning, we're here to go and thank particularly our legislative representatives, both at the congressional level and at the state level, that for me, it's a once-in-a-generation opportunity to replace 100-year-old aging bridges on one of the nation's oldest and busiest passenger railroad and highway sections in this country. The Senate passage of this bipartisan infrastructure bill is historic and transformative. I want to sincerely thank Senator Blumenthal and Senator Murphy, along with the rest of the delegation, for unwavering leadership and support in Washington. Blumenthal and Murphy have been on the front lines fighting for Connecticut and infrastructure funding for the Northeast Corridor, for safer streets and vehicles, and by tackling the climate crisis by reducing transportation emissions. They deserve our thanks, our sincere appreciation, and again, thank you to the senators. And it's no secret that when Governor Lamont appointed me, he charged me with getting the trains to New York faster, only he did not stop there. Governor Lamont has kept the pressure on, and I must thank the governor and his bold leadership and vision to get us to where we are today. So over the past 2 months, we have released Time for Connecticut, a roadmap to bring faster and more frequent service between Connecticut and New York, which will result in 45,000 new construction jobs. We're working with our unions, apprenticeship programs, and we will enhance our internship to ensure that we have an inclusive and a diverse workforce. And Connecticut stood with the Northeast Corridor Commission to unveil C35, a vision to better connect people and places along the Northeast Corridor, including those here in Connecticut, which will generate 1.7 million new jobs, and that's a big deal for this region and for the country. So in addition to rail investments, an infrastructure bill passed by the Senate will allow Connecticut DOT to advance other top priorities, bring aging bridges that have outlived their useful life, tackle major congestion and safety along our highway, and the federal transportation dollars are critical resources that will help advance the Governor Lamont's vision and improve the region's rail network. So without speaking any more on that, there's some other people I'd like to introduce and bring forward to come and talk to you. First, Don Schubert, the president of the Connecticut Construction Industries Association.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have to tell you, it's an honor to be here today with Senator Blumenthal, Senator Murphy, and Governor Lamont. Many of us have crossed the state for a lot of years now, working on a transportation and infrastructure measure in Washington. Well, today, the discussion is different. The Senate has passed a bill that does two very important things. It reauthorizes the surface transportation legislation at historical funding levels early, before September 30th, And at the same time, it provided much needed federal investments in a wide range of infrastructure projects, from broadband to clean water to energy, and the list goes on. I can tell you that we're very pleased to be here today because this means this measure is going to create thousands of construction careers. You know, we always talked about construction jobs, but when you have a long-term measure like this is a launching pad for careers for construction workers. And the construction jobs are a very important component of this. So we're looking forward to working with Governor Lamont and Commissioner Gilletti to make sure that Connecticut maximizes every opportunity that this bill presents to the state. Again, it's a pleasure to be here. We're ready to put people to work, and we've been waiting for this a long time. So, senators, thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to Senator Blumenthal. Senator,
Hold on a second.
you got it?
Yes, I got it. First off, again, Don, your commitment to this has been terrific. Really appreciate the support. But right now, I want to bring up a good friend and a person that's been definitely behind all of our operations here, particularly in this area, Mayor Bronin. Mayor Bronin, the mayor of Hartford, please come on up to the podium.
Thanks so much, Commissioner. Senator Blumenthal, Senator Murphy, Governor Lamont. It's such an honor to be with you today. And I want to first also just give a huge shout out and thanks to the Connecticut laborers who are hosting us, to the carpenters, to the building trades here in Hartford and statewide. This is jobs for their members. It's jobs for Connecticut. And they have been fighting this fight for decade after decade to get our country to make the investments that are generations overdue. So I want to say thanks to all of the building trades for their active work in not just creating opportunities here, but in advocating so hard for this investment. Under Donald Trump, for 4 years, Infrastructure Week became a joke, which would have been funny if it wasn't so sad that our country continued to miss an opportunity to make generational investments. But because of the leadership and the commitment of President Biden and the Democratic leadership and the incredible, tireless efforts of Senator Blumenthal, Senator Murphy, and though he's not here, I want to give a big shout out to John Larson too, and our entire congressional delegation from Connecticut. Because of them, this generational investment is on the cusp of becoming a reality. In the Senate, they got done what a lot of people thought couldn't get done. And it will be transformative for our country and for Connecticut. This bill means billions of dollars of investment in Connecticut infrastructure, in roads, in bridges, in EV infrastructure, in electrification, and in rail, and gives the opportunity to compete for transformative investments in rail. So to the senators, we're incredibly grateful and incredibly proud of the work that you've done on behalf of our state and our country. And Governor, to you and Commissioner, for laying that groundwork to make sure that we were in a position where we were ready to take advantage of that opportunity. Thank you as well. And on behalf of the city of Hartford and the residents here who will benefit by being more connected to the communities around us, who will benefit because jobs that are union jobs will help people and put people in Hartford to work. So grateful to all of you for the leadership and the role. We got more to do. You've got more to do, and I know you couldn't be working harder to do it. And we're so thankful as the city of Hartford for this work. Thanks again, and thanks for the invitation to be with you to celebrate this.
Thank you, Mayor. Now, Senator Murphy.
Well, thank you very much, Commissioner. I want to thank our host, the building trades, laborers, carpenters. Listen, there is a tremendous multiplier effect when you put money into infrastructure. Today, we're talking about the men and women who are going to be hired right here in Hartford and the surrounding area to do the work that is going to be funded by this bill, whether it be rebuilding the intersection of 91 and 84, improving the rail line to get people faster from Hartford down to New Haven and into New York City, whether it be the modernization of our electric grid to make sure that Connecticut can bring onto the grid all of the new renewable energy investments that the governor is leading. But the multiplier effect is really hard to calculate because everybody that's hired here in and around Hartford is going to take that money and spend it in the local economy. The companies that get hired to do the work aren't going to just hire Connecticut workers. They're going to buy supplies to do the work, equipment to do the work from Connecticut companies as well. And so we can talk to you about the laborers and the carpenters and the electric workers that are going to be hired to do this record amount of infrastructure work in Connecticut. But the boon to our economy is going to be so much bigger than that. Mary Bronin's right. For a long, long time, Washington has been talking about investing in infrastructure. The reason is that it was there for the taking as a bipartisan win. For all the things that Republicans and Democrats disagree on, there was always this opportunity to get Republicans and Democrats to come together on the issue of infrastructure. But it took President Biden to provide the leadership necessary to bring Republicans and Democrats together. A lot of people told him it wasn't possible. A lot of people scoffed at the notion that Joe Biden, after years of division between Republicans and Democrats, could bring the two parties together around a common agenda to rebuild this country. Joe Biden said he could bring this country together to rebuild our nation, and he did it. Now, Dick and I are proud to have been foot soldiers in that effort. We won't go into the details here, but there are a lot of very specific wins in the bipartisan infrastructure bill for Connecticut. I'll just give you one example. There was a big fight about how the rail money was going to be divvied up. There's a specific account, the federal-state partnership, that Connecticut greatly benefits from. Almost 75% of the money is going to go into the federal-state partnership account, which is going to assure that a much greater share of the rail infrastructure money is going to come here to Connecticut projects. So we're proud to have fought with President Biden to pass this through the Senate. We know it's not to the finish line yet. I think it's a matter of when, not if, it passes the House and gets to the president's desk, but we have to be vigilant to make sure that we get this job done. But when we do, this investment is going to be a difference maker for Connecticut. Whether we like it or not, Connecticut is more dependent on federal infrastructure dollars than almost any other state in the nation. Our economy grows when we can get people and goods faster to places like Boston and New York. Companies want to locate here to Connecticut. Governor Lamont has preached this relentlessly when they believe that they can transit faster to the major international economic hubs of New York and Boston. This investment allows us to be globally competitive for major companies and major investments because we will be able to unlock those pathways. So I'm just really excited to be here with so many friends. So grateful to our friends in organized labor who frankly have been the fiercest advocates for this. Over the years, this light of a bipartisan infrastructure deal may have been squelched, if not for organized labor, if not for the trades that kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And so I think it's incredibly apropos that we are here today to say thanks to them for the work that they have done over decades to get us to this point. Congratulations to all of you. Still work to come, but great news for the state of Connecticut.
Thank you, Senator Murphy, and let me assure you that from the DOT perspective, our partnership with the unions and all of the contractors that are out here, we've got your message loud and clear. We are ready for you. Senator Blumenthal, you're next. Come on up to the microphone.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you to the representatives of working men and women who are here today, and I want to add my voice to say how important your leadership has been. What we have here is kind of a magic moment. And as I said after I left the floor and we voted, there was a lump in my throat when we passed this huge bipartisan measure. This kind of program is exactly why I wanted to be a United States Senator, to make a difference in the lives of ordinary people in Connecticut. This investment is going to mean faster commutes to work, quicker trips to the beach, fewer potholes in the roads, so less wear and tear on your car, fewer maintenance costs. It will mean speedier trips to school and a better quality of life for everyone. And it's also going to mean millions of jobs. But more than jobs, it's going to mean careers. And I have visited some of the apprenticeship programs, the ironworkers program. Women Can Weld. Women Can Weld, that's the name of the program. Thanks to the ironworkers and the bricklayers and the sheet metal workers and the electrician and the carpenters. They all have apprenticeship programs. They want to bring in the next generation of trades and construction workers. Nothing against you guys, but I see a few gray hair out there. You're not going to be around forever. We need that next generation. And thank you to the organized labor leaders for preparing that next generation and bringing women to the fore. You're going to see hundreds of ribbon cuttings over this next several years, and you're going to see a lot of hard hats and women wearing them, and new opportunities, real careers with good paying jobs and benefits and a future for men and women, working families in Connecticut. So this program is really transformative. It's a once in a generation opportunity, inspirational, the biggest investment in our nation's physical assets since the New Deal. Think of it. It's not just infrastructure week. It's going to be an infrastructure decade. And we need that kind of perseverance. And right now, we need the perseverance to get this thing through the House. We need to get it done. It's not a layup. It's not a done deal until it passes the House of Representatives. And I will just say, as a challenge to my colleagues in the House of Representatives, if we could do it in the evenly divided Senate, 50-50, you can do it in the House. We did it with 69 votes. You can do it in the House of Representatives because we need it for America. And it will mean more than just money, although there is a lot of money. It will mean a continued commitment to getting this job done. And finally, let me say, in deference to Commissioner Gilletti, the $30 billion in this bill for rail in the Northeast Corridor will help Connecticut, but we need even more. And Senator Murphy and I have been fighting together as a team. We're going to continue fighting for additional investment in rail, as well as electric charging networks, so we have more electric vehicles on the road. We need to put a marker down on climate change in this country. And this program makes a start in that direction. There's $100 million here for Long Island Sound alone. So there's a commitment to climate, again, a first step that has to be followed by others. More than Infrastructure Week, it's got to be an infrastructure decade. We need to be committed to it. And more than just the physical assets, We need a commitment to the human assets. Even more important, those welders who are going to be on the job are going to need daycare for their kids if they stay on the job. Universal daycare, home care for our seniors so they don't have to worry about taking care of their moms and dads. We need the skill training, investment in the apprenticeship programs, hearing, vision, dental care for seniors, expanded Medicare. The investment in our physical assets has to be followed by a commitment to our human assets. The biggest since the New Deal. A second program that we are working on right now. We're working on the specifics after the budget resolution that we passed also in the last 24 hours of the Senate session. So there's a lot of work still to be done. There is no room for complacency, and we're going to continue this fight. We are very fortunate in Connecticut to have with us a partner, Governor Lamont, who has been relentlessly committed to infrastructure because he knows it is part of what attracts additional jobs in the private sector to Connecticut. And as the most densely populated area of the United States, we know that we need to move people, goods, and services using this kind of infrastructure. The governor's been committed to it 100%. His leadership has made a really big difference. Thanks for your leadership, Governor.
Again, to Senator Blumenthal and again to Senator Murphy, the message is not lost on us. You've heard them talk about the money that is headed here, even on the Northeast Corridor. Beyond that, another $5.3 billion just in Connecticut for rail jobs alone, and the other charges that we've all gotten. And talking about charges, from the day that I got here, I have had a governor that turned around and said, how do we get trains moving faster? How do we clear up our backups on our highways? How are we going to move this thing forward? And I never miss the opportunity to be able to discuss that with them, and I truly enjoy the support that the DOT gets to make these projects go forward. So again, thank you, Governor Lamont. It's your opportunity to come on up and talk.
All right, thanks, Joe. One of my favorite Joes. Another one is Joe Biden. Let's get that bill on his desk, get this signed, and get people back to work. Dick, I got to say to you and Chris, as you said, it's really great to have a partner in Washington, D.C. again. I think Luke is a mayor and 168 other mayors and one governor. It's really important to have that partnership going forward and what that means. Hey, Keith, we're talking a lot about jobs. We're talking about jobs, good paying union jobs for each and every one of you, and this is just the beginning of how we get this state moving again. And this is the stuff that Joe Gilletti and I have got to think about, is making sure that people are trained for the jobs that are out there right now. Keith, we've got $50 million thanks to these guys. Usually when it's a 50-50 vote, I always say, which of you cast the decisive vote that made this happen? The bipartisan bill was bigger than that, but the job training was really key to what Dick and Chris were able to do. And I want you to make sure that we've got the training funds in place. Tell us the type of skills you're going to need over the next 2 or 3 years to make sure that we have the people ready to go. Look, if I was back in my small business phase, I'd be setting up a design, engineering, and construction management firm. The skill sets we're going to need over the next 2 or 3 years to make sure that Connecticut is at the front of the line and making sure we get our resources, some of which are done on a competitive basis going forward. That's going to start with jobs, and that's going to start with the skill sets that we need. Those are what we are beginning to think about right now. I got to tell you, we've learned, talking about transportation, Chris Murphy said it so well, this bill means more to Connecticut than just about any state in the country. We do have really aging infrastructure. We are sort of got barbells on either side of us in Boston and New York. We've got to be able to move around. Maybe not 5 days a week, but occasionally be able to get to those metropolitan areas and what that means in terms of cargo and freight and transportation. And we're old. We have old infrastructure. As Joe Gilletti will tell you, it's not a matter of expanding capacity and adding lanes. It's a matter of fixing up 3 or 4 bridges where the trains have to slow to 35 miles an hour. That will take 15 minutes off your commute and make this world a lot safer place for each and every one of you. You know, we found out that when it comes to our highways, it's not, you know, adding a lane up and down I-95, but it's those 5 or 6 choke points, each one of which can add 5 or 10 minutes to your commute. You know, Dan Malloy, you know, did it with the Charter Oak Bridge. You're going to see what a difference that makes. What we got to do with 691, I-95, what that means in terms of Meriden coming up into Hartford and back again at the end of the day. These are investments that make an extraordinary difference for the future prosperity of this state. And that's why I'm so thankful for what we're able to accomplish, you know, here today. The other thing I got to think about, I'll be blunt, I don't want to be boring, but, you know, we got to put up our 20% in many of these cases. So let's say, thanks to these guys, we're getting about $1 billion a year for infrastructure, $1 billion a year. That includes roads and bridges and rail and resiliency. And we'll have to put up our 20% of that. You know, that's about, 20% of $5 billion is, $1 billion. And how we do that going forward, making sure we're at the front of the line. I can show Secretary of Transportation Pete that we're at the line. We've got the way to pay for it. We got the job training. We got the design build. We're ready to go. I got to tell you, Connecticut, we're going to be ready to go. Thanks to our amazing delegation and John Larson, was mentioned. This is how we get this state moving again. It's a really good day for the state of Connecticut. So proud to be here.
It's the time where you have an opportunity to ask questions of the delegation. Do you have any questions out there?
Can you give us a few more examples? The governor mentioned the choke points, a few more examples of the types of projects you're going to be doing.
Does anybody else want it? Otherwise, I'll take it. The choke points that we're talking about, and you heard the governor briefly allude to them. We know exits 3 to exit 8 up on 84. We know right now 84 and 91, major issue with a highway that was designed to carry 50,000 cars that's carrying 288,000 cars a day. We know, you heard the governor mention going down 91 where you go and hit the Merritt Parkway. You go down that right now, every night that's backing up. We need to add an additional lane. We need to add a couple of miles of additional lane and a double lane exit over there. You already saw that we were able to go and take care of part of the problem going north on 91 going over to 84. We've got to do the same thing down on 95 at Route 7, where when you're coming back or going back from Stamford towards New Haven, that you're able to go and add an additional lane there that can take care of it. We're working on the Gold Star Bridge because we fortified it in one direction but never had the money to go and fortify it in the other direction. So there's a 30-mile detour that heavy trucks have to go and take in order to utilize that. That's just a few of the examples of what's sitting on the table right now. Any other questions? All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it.